let's get to the situation du jour here in Miami, because I wasn't on the show today. I wasn't on Le Batard show proper. I did do my top 5 today, and as you guys probably heard, if you haven't heard, go back and listen. I made a lot of remarks, mostly number 2 related, at the hierarchy of the Miami Dolphins, whether that be Stephen Ross, Chris Grier, Mike McDaniel, Tua, kind of the 4 horsemen. Miami is probably in the worst place they've been since 2000. I don't think that a fan base could be in a worse spot than what Miami is right now, right? There has been teams across the league that have been perennial losers. There have been teams that have never made it to the Super Bowl. There's never been teams that have never won a Super Bowl, that have had massive playoff droughts and just organizational dysfunction. But when it comes to Miami, now a new owner falling into the same traps of other owners in the NFL that kind of don't really know what they're doing. And it's hard to say that when the person who is at the head of the table and owns the team has been so successful in business ventures outside of football. It's hard to call them a moron or an idiot, but when you look at the product that has been placed on the field and the devolving of what this team has been for the last 3 years, something needs to change. And you can go back through the last 25 years of fandom for the Miami Dolphins. Not that I am a fan of the Miami Dolphins. I'm not a man of the Shield, as you guys know that. So my heart cannot get broken by things that happen. But when you talk about the playoff losses, when you talk about Nick Saban leaving, when you talk about Marino's injury, when you talk about Culpepper over Drew Brees, when you talk about all the things that have happened to this franchise, this has to be the worst. You lose 31-6 to Cleveland in a game that you kind of need. Okay, it's not that you're going to the playoffs. Hell, try to go 500 this year is going to be a very tall task. But you got to go in. If you're McDaniel, if you're Chris Greer, if you're Tua, you guys got to get on the same page and lock in and be like, okay, we need this one. We really desperately need this one. We cannot go to Cleveland, to a team that's 1-5, who traded away their starting quarterback to an in-division rival who now looks really good over there. And they've got a quarterback in Dylan Gabriel who they don't really know what they have. They're just kind of throwing him out there. The circus that is Cleveland, from all the different aspects of that, why that franchise is a circus, and they go out and absolutely destroy, blow the doors off of the Miami Dolphins. Blow the door 31-6, and it's not even that close. It should have been more. Quinshon Judkins looks like Barry Sanders. Nobody can stop anybody. This is one of the most embarrassing performances that I have ever seen on a football field. Tua Tagovailoa had the worst game that I've ever seen him have. There is no hope. I can't sit here and tell you, guys, there's hope. Don't worry. Hope is on the horizon. I see the future, right? I see what it is. Mike McDaniel can turn this thing around. Chris Greer can get a number 1 pick and turn it into something. No, it's over. It's over. I sent it out in the first half on my Twitter at 10 Day Tony, where some of you are watching here. At halftime, I said, clean house. It's over. At halftime. And I want to say that the score was 14-6, if that. I looked and I said, oh my God, this is the biggest debacle in pro sports right now. In professional football, there is nothing worse than what the Miami Dolphins are going through right now. 2 years ago, they scored 70 points in a game. 70 in the NFL against a Broncos team that actually, if you fast forward, if I would have told you in 2022-23, when the Dolphins beat the Broncos 70-14 or whatever the score was, 70-21, I don't even remember what the score is. If I told you in 2 years' time, you're actually going to want to be the Broncos because the Broncos are going to be 5-2, the Dolphins are going to be 1-6. The more exciting quarterback is going to be in Denver. The better defense is in Denver. You would have laughed me off every single microphone. But of course, that's the hindsight or foresight. But you look at what's going on and you're thinking to yourself, how in the hell can the Dolphins recover? Carlos brings up a good point. Who do you keep? A-Chain? Devon A-Chain, you keep him? There's nobody else, right? Waddle, go send him for a pick. Waller's been okay. Obviously messed up his pec. He'll be week to week, but that's not a guy you keep long-term anyway. You ship everybody out. There's nobody on the defensive side that you look at and say, okay, maybe Jalen Phillips, you keep him. What's left of the defensive line? Sealer, obviously, you have locked up for a little while. Bradley Chubb, I guess. Linebackers, just nothing. Secondary, outside of Minka, who's already older too. There's nobody there. There's nobody there. It's just over. It's just completely over. There's no hope. I'm very surprised that they did not completely clean house after that loss yesterday. What's there to hold on to? Get Anthony Weaver in, see if he can rally the troops a little bit. It just feels like from what's happening with Mike McDaniel, Chris Grier hasn't said a word. The guy might be doing mimes are back in the 20, Chris Grier hasn't said a word. Mike McDaniel, every time he gets to a microphone, I don't want to hear him because it sounds like it is over. Tua get him even further away from the microphone than Mike McDaniel, right? It's getting from bad to worse every single time one of them opens their mouth. It's insane. It's insane. Like, that is not what a coach should be. A CEO of a organization like the coach is. You cannot have that person speak the way Mike McDaniel does in these like weird, cryptic, half fragment sentences with a lot of ums and uhs, and it's cooked. It's over. It's over. There's nothing that you can do, nothing that he can say to get him out of the situation. And Tua, I was looking over at some of the Tua stuff and Tua money, $57 million next year. $57 million you're on the hook for Tua. And it goes down, it's descending contract. And then the year after that, it's 40-something or 30-something. And the year after that's the same thing. There is nothing right now that the Miami Dolphins can do to make this better. Nothing. They need to bottom out, start selling players for picks. I guess if Stephen Ross doesn't want to make a change, I guess you let Mike McDaniel coach to a 1-16 record. That was supposed to be the easy part of the schedule. The Jets, the Panthers, the Browns. That was the easy part. The easy part of the schedule. Let's take a look really quick and see what they got going forward. Because I remember last time I checked, I was like, this is a steep situation for the Miami Dolphins. Falcons this Sunday. Ravens, possibly with Lamar, possibly not. By the way, go out to the watch party. Kendall, Flanny's, Kendall and 127th. We're doing a Halloween watch party over with the Levitard show on Thursday for the Dolphins-Ravens game. Go check that out. Bills, Commanders, Saints, Jets, Steelers, Dolphins, Steelers, Bengals, Bucks, Pats. 3-14? 3-14? Like, it's over. It's over. It's over. Like, there is nothing that you can look at and say that hope is on the horizon. And it's just crazy to think that that's where we are in the situation. Insane. So, wanted to get that off the chest because, again, not that I'm a Miami fan, but I live in Miami and this is the home team, and people were excited for this team, but after Tyreek got hurt, and you kind of realize really quickly Tua is not the guy when you look across the across the division, and Drake May is playing like one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. Miami has not been able to get a quarterback. Dan said on the show today, Miami has not had a quarterback since Marino. There are people, my brother is 25 years old. He was born in 2000, and he has not seen a good quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Tua had a year. God, Sage Rosenfeld had a year. Or less maybe, because they brought him off the bench, but still. Right? Like Cleo Lemon had a year. Jay Fiedler went to the playoffs. And Tua cannot play in wet. He cannot play in snow. He can barely play in the heat. In the wind, he can't throw. I like watching back some of the Tua interceptions and fumbles and throws that even he made where he didn't have the pressure. It was terrible. Terrible. And you look across the league at such good quarterback play that's happening right now. And you're asking yourself, Justin Fields clearly the worst quarterback in the NFL. Is Tua like the second worst? Is Tua a bottom 5 QB at the moment? Like, if I tell you, Chad, if I tell you Carson Wentz or Tua right now, are you taking Carson Wentz? Does have multiple 300-yard passing games? Gino, Josh brings up a good point. Gino is close to Battlefield. Gino's been really bad. Outside of the first game, he's been really bad. But like, Dylan Gabriel, I guess you take Tua over Dylan Gabriel, even though Tua looked terrible yesterday. Like, he's a bottom 5 QB in the league right now. Insane to think of. All right, that's the end of my Dolphins soapbox.